Welcome to Bird Fans Forever, episode 75. We had so much fun talking with this year's recruits that we're keeping the momentum alive by hitting the court with players from the current basketball roster. Stepping up to the free throw line, please welcome Brandon Lieb as he shares his journey to ISU, life on and off the court, and what it means to be a Redbird.
Hello and welcome to Bird Fans Forever, episode 75 with Brandon Lieb. Hey Brandon, how you doing?
Great. Pleasure to be here and excited to get into it.
This is going to be awesome. Yep. All right, so we start the same episode with the same question. How'd you get to ISU?
That's a interesting story. So I didn't come here as a freshman. I did my first 3 years at another school down the road that we don't like to talk about. But, after 3 years there, I enjoyed my time there, and I think I was, looking for a change. So I put my name in the transfer portal after my junior season. And probably, if not one of the very first call was from, I think it was Coach Dockich. Maybe he texted me. They started the recruiting process right away, and, I felt it from the jump how, personal they were and they really showed that they cared, and it wasn't just they were checking a name off the list. I could tell that they wanted me. Within a few days, they actually drove to Champaign. Coach Peden, Coach Judd, and Doc all drove to Champaign to come have lunch with me and just talk to me and just kind of tell me that they want me and see where I was at. So, off the bat, that was a huge part of it. I went through the whole transfer portal deal. I know it can get really crazy. It's tough to filter out who's serious and who's not, and who's just, like I said, just checking a name off and, we're showing interest. But I could tell right away that these guys were serious. So we ended up, I think after, I'd say a week or two of kind of going back and forth, talking to other schools, seeing my options, we ended up scheduling a visit. I got here. I took my visit with Jordan Davis, actually. So I had played against him, obviously, when he was at Wisconsin. I didn't know him much personally. Playing against him over the years, I knew the name. And then they told me we were visiting together, which I was psyched about. And it was just, the entire visit from the second I got there to when I left was just, I had the best time. Hanging out with the guys, like I had an immediate bond with them. The coaches were, they were really showing that they were looking into how I play as a player, how I would fit in the system. They know I valued the academics and I wanted to finish my degree, all the right values that I was looking for. So after my visit, I had a great feeling. And then I think it must have been less than a week. I think it was that Wednesday or Thursday. It was actually on my birthday. I called up Coach Peden and told him I wanted to be a Redbird. So it's probably the best birthday gift I could have had. It was nice to just be done with the recruiting process. It can be extremely stressful at times. And yeah, the rest was, kind of, once I was accepted, it's like you're part of the family right away. And I felt that. And I don't think I could have made a better decision. So.
Amen. So talk a little bit about, let me jump in here, Steve. Talk about the transfer report. Are coaches, do you kind of get the feel that some of the coaches just reaching out to check off a number or a box, right? Or do you think, or were some of them not authentic? Because, for those of us that have never been a part of the portal, be kind of interesting to get kind of an insight to kind of some of the crazy stuff that goes on there.
Yeah, I do feel, to be honest, I do feel that a lot with some of those schools. They're reaching out and maybe they'll kind of give you that boilerplate introduction that they give to maybe all their guys that they're interested in, and then you don't hear from them as much, or the urgency isn't there, or maybe I was really interested in the school, but now I see they're recruiting another kid, and then I'm asking about what's the next steps, and they're holding off a little. But some of them are. It's like that first day in the portal, I got probably upwards of 20 texts and calls of just, wow, schools that I had heard of, some that, were way, West Coast schools that, I didn't know anything. And it's like you go into it, it's a lot different than being a high school recruit, at least from my experience. I know it's changed during my, my time in college, the way that high schoolers get recruited versus, transfer guys. But I do feel like not everyone is as genuine. And to be honest, for me, it was easy to spot the ones that were serious and the ones that weren't. And when a coach is, a head coach is calling and texting you every day, like Coach Peden was, it goes a long way. So I really appreciated that.
So Brandon, you were in the Big Ten, and so was Coach. Did they know you from the Big Ten days?
Yeah. So we won a Big Ten championship. Obviously, my freshman year, we won the Big Ten tournament, and that was against Coach Peden and Ohio State in that championship game, which was awesome. Obviously, I loved winning. He stayed there for.
Do you remind him about that, by the way?
We talk about it sometimes. I'll give him a pointer here and there about it. Probably a little bit bitter for him, but it's fun. We joke about it, and then obviously, he stayed one more year at OSU, and then took the job here. But he remembered me. I was playing, majority of my minutes at Illinois came in my junior year when he was already gone. But he recognized me. He remembered kind of seeing my game. And he said, when I got in the portal, he was kind of right away. He's like, that kid, we want him. And he had some of the players reach out to me. Kendall Lewis texted me personally, and it was funny. He said from Kendall Lewis, ISU, and I didn't know he was a player. And I said, hey, thanks, coach, for reaching out. And then I turn around and realize that, that's okay. That's potentially my future teammate. I should probably let him know that I didn't know he was a player. So, but yes, we do. We talk about the Big Ten days. We talk about the Big Ten days a little bit, and it's fun to call back on them.
So when you were looking for the schools in the transfer portal, what was the top 2 or 3 things that you were looking for?
Yeah.
You mentioned academics and playing
Yeah. So, I know it's changed so much again, even in the past 3-4 years. Like NIL is it seems like everyone's, top of the list of what they're looking for. To be honest, that was really probably 3rd or 4th. Number 1, I wanted to find the right place for me to develop as a person and as a player. And, that you're not going to find that with a staff that you're not agreeing with and that you're not seeing eye to eye with and that you don't really think truly cares about you. So the word I would use is the fit. I think the fit was number 1 on my list. Probably followed closely by academics. I was a finance undergrad. I'm in my last year of my MBA now, so I'll finish that up at the end of this spring. School's been something that's really important to me. I want to have a career in basketball, but as any coach will ever say, the ball stops bouncing one day. And the fact that I'm going to have 2 degrees to look back on now and use those in the business world is just honestly perfect, best case scenario. So I made that a point up front that, I want to be able to finish my undergrad that I started at Illinois. I worked so hard for in a finance major. And, that was a big part of a lot of these other schools transferring in. I would have lost credits. I would have lost a lot of those really critical hours, and it more than likely would have taken me 5 years to graduate opposed to finishing in a normal 4 years and then starting to pursue the MBA. So yeah, again, fit, the academic part, development, I really liked the vision that they had for me. They're great recruiters. They do a phenomenal job putting together, presentations and film and slideshows of how specifically I fit in. They were pulling up my film, they were pulling up their own film, comparing the two, contrasting the two. So that honestly, that's what sold me. And then again, just my bond with the guys. So I would say fit number 1, academics. Those were the biggest drivers, and that's why I picked here.
We noticed the first year you unleashed a couple threes. Was that talked about during the recruiting process?
It was, and that was. I think I made it clear to them that's something I really wanted to expand on my game. At Illinois, in the minutes that I got, I was really expected to just be traditional big down there, rebounding, hook shots, get some extra possessions, offensive rebounds, play hard defense, blocks. And, for myself, I know that, I want to play professionally and make a career out of this. It's going to be something I'm going to have to expand and add to my game. So I worked on my shot a lot. And yeah, towards the beginning of the year, I had some success with it. Obviously, I had, the injury halfway through the year, which kind of derailed some stuff. But it's still something that I work on a lot, and you'll see a little bit of it from me this year. Taking the right ones, though, I think that was a big thing that, me and Coach talked about, is shot selection, not just because I can shoot the three, don't just start, forcing them up. It's in the right scenario, getting the right shots, I think, is a big part of it. But I'm excited about continuing to develop that.
You want to stop right here?
No, we can keep going. Let's get into and I can edit all this up. Brandon, so you were named captain last year. You don't really get to play, right? We don't want to give you any more trauma over that injury. Give us the status on the injury, and then let's go into talking about being a captain on the bench and fulfilling that role and not being able to play. That's always a hard thing, right? It's so much easier to be the captain on the floor, right, than...
Yeah. Yeah, obviously going into last year, I was really confident with where I was at, and I thought I was playing probably the best ball of my career. And my teammates, I really tried to step into that leadership position over the summer and establish myself as a leader, as a veteran on the team, kind of helping pull the young guys along and show them what being a college athlete is like. And they voted me captain, which was honestly probably one of the
huge
best honors I've had.
Amen.
You can compare it to some championships and whatever, but just knowing that there's a group of 14 guys behind you that believe in you and see me as a leader, that was awesome for me. So I was psyched about that. And, I felt really good about where I was at going into the year. I suffered from that injury, which was really just unfortunate. I felt like, again, we did have such a great year, the most wins that the school, 20 plus wins. It was like, it was just a joy to be a part of. But being on the sideline, it's tough at times. I want to be out there with my guys. I want to be playing with them, supporting from the sideline and verbally telling them stuff is one thing, but, being able to be out there and give an effort is another. So I really think this past year, I think I grew, in some of those leadership qualities where you have to be able to, step back and see things, being removed from the game and watching it almost as, maybe like a player coach, if you want to call it. I was really just observing the game and seeing ways that maybe I would fit in if I was out there, and certain things that I would notice about my teammates, about how they're playing and what they could do better, stuff that I didn't see when you're a part of it. Because you're out there playing, stuff's going so fast. I'm not thinking about how maybe my point guard, what he could have done this better on this play. It's like you get in your own world a little bit when you're playing. So I really think it was valuable for me last year being in that, captain leadership position and not playing. Obviously, I wish I was out there, but I think I made the most of it. And I was able to, develop those relationships with players, and the fact that we have all, just about our whole team back. I feel that much closer with these guys going into, this season. So
Brandon, you guys ended the season on a high note last year. You mentioned over 20 wins. I think it was the most wins since 2017 season. Won the CBI championship. One of 4 teams to exit the season on a win. How's that carrying over the summer, the culture and the expectations going into this season?
Yeah, like you said, I think to end a season on that note, again, only 4 teams can say they did that. So we were so just, proud of each other, proud of those seniors that obviously graduated and are no longer here. But I really think, especially with these younger guys, to see a taste of that success, and I really think we've carried it over into the summer. We're so motivated. We can feel the energy in the community and the anticipation for this year. It's like everyone's saying it's the most excited people have been about Redbird basketball in quite some time. And we're trying to, every day we're trying to earn that in practice. And I think, from top to bottom, 1 through 14 on our team, everyone is bought in. It's a phenomenal group of guys. And like I said, I think we had that little taste of success. We didn't do how we wanted to in the Missouri Valley tournament. We bounced back and showed the kind of team we were in the CBI. and we're coming for that, that Valley Championship this year. That's our goal. We talk about it almost every day, if not every week. That's what we're chasing this year. We want that ring. We want to get back to that tournament. So it's nice to have a little taste of success, but I think we know what we're here to do, and we know what we can do. And having that synergy of all these guys back from last year is invaluable. So we're excited.
I think the CBI is important too, like learning how to win 3 games, back to back, right? In a tournament, just like, the Valley tournament. How's that? Talk about that, and can you carry that over into the Missouri Valley tournament in particular?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, winning that many games in a short amount of time is a lot easier said than done. I mean, it's demanding on your body, but I think more than anything is mentally being able to stick with it. Knowing that you got to take those blows. Not every game is going to just go to script how you planned it out. And especially when you're fatigued and, stuff starts to get a little bit tougher, the way we respond and the way we responded in that CBI, I think is very indicative of what we're going to see this year. But like you said, I mean, setting ourselves up to be in a good position come, March, and we're heading down to St. Louis. We want one of those top spots to set ourselves up for 3 straight wins and ultimately getting it done on Sunday. But yeah, I do think, that's one area that we're really trying to hone in on, again, is that mental toughness where it doesn't matter. We're tired. Oh, guys are, you played 20 minutes. You played 10 minutes last night. You played 30. It doesn't matter. Everyone's got to bring the same every day. We got to go out there and do what we're supposed to do. So
when you go to St. Louis, you play in a larger professional arena, and I don't think it's by coincidence, but you have some games in some NBA arenas. You have an exhibition down the road that's a larger arena too. Do you think playing in those regular season games and the exhibition ones is going to help you when you go to St. Louis? I mean, it's different, right? Playing in a bigger arena versus some of the ones in Missouri Valley. Can you talk about that a little bit? I mean, I know you play close to the rim, but some of the shooting threes and outside shots, it's different, right?
It's different, and I'm really glad that we have some of these, high major games, so to speak, that are going to expose us to that, because it's hard, it's tough to emulate that. We probably have one of the nicest mid-major arenas in the country, so we're used to, the bigger atmosphere, I guess, and like you said, you're shooting the ball sometimes when you got a bunch of bleachers behind it, opposed to a deep arena where some of that depth perception is a little bit different. I think there is something to be said there. And again, just the atmosphere of a bigger arena, being able to step out there, have the same confidence, believe and be able to stick to our script, our game plan. So I'm excited for those, like you said, those exhibition games. We're going to head out to LA, Utah. I'm excited for all of that. I think just not only the caliber of teams we're playing, but the environment we'll be in is going to get us ready for St. Louis in March.
So you have an exhibition game. We got to mention this, right? You'll be going back down the road to U of I. Look, we want you to do well. We want you to hold it back for the Missouri Valley tournament if we have our druthers and stuff like that. But tell us what that's going to mean, like going down the road 45 minutes and playing back there.
Yeah, I'm excited. Coach, he called me up. I think it was just before we went home for our 2-week break in August. He called me up and let me know first. He's like, we got this game. I had been asking him about it since my first year I got here. I said, Coach, get a game against the Illini, please. I don't know if they'll do it. They might not want to. I understand it's not the best, maybe it's not a win-win for them, but I want it. I want to play against them. I just think it'd be so cool. So I'm just thrilled that they agreed to it. And even though it is an exhibition, I'm psyched to go back there. I know that the actual team, not a lot of those guys that I played with are still there. Obviously, I know the coaches and had a great relationship with all of them. So it's just going to be cool playing in that arena again. It'll feel weird on the other side of the, in that visitor locker room and on the visitor bench, but I'm equally as excited. I think we got the right team to match up with them, and I think it's just it'll be a good game for both of us, as a preseason test heading into the year. So,
Yeah, so you have some good preseason, tests with the Big Ten teams, Northwestern, U of I, and it doesn't start out easy. You guys go on the road to Ohio. Uh, um, Typically, they do well in the MAC, and then you got Cornell. It's the first home game, and we played them last year, and they're good in the Ivy League. Tell us a little bit about the Cornell in Ohio. You played both of them last year.
Yeah, Ohio was that game last year here. I remember that I was so proud of the way our guys fought back. They're a physical team in the MAC, obviously Midwest basketball. Coach Peden's very familiar with them. We're excited to play that one back. I know they're probably itching for a little bit of revenge from last year. Same with Cornell. Cornell's they're high scoring, offensive caliber team that it was really a just shootout with them. I didn't get to travel for that game because I had to stay here after dealing with some of the injury stuff. But I watched every second of it. It was another game that our guys battled back, and I think like that was a big step up for us, being able to withstand some of those runs where maybe we're going scoreless for 2 minutes and they just hit 3 threes in a row. A team like Cornell that can really shoot the ball. So again, two early season, like you said, two early season tests that are really gonna test our toughness, see where we're at. Being able to fight back against talented teams, a team in Ohio and Cornell, who both had a great year last year, are poised for a good year this year. So I'm glad that we don't have just a couple, maybe not as competitive games up front. I think it's good to get those, like you said, those two Big Ten exhibitions straight into two really tough opponents. I think is probably the best thing for us at the beginning of a season. So
I would agree. A tougher preseason is always better, right? Test your mettle and figure out where you're lacking at and get those corrected and improved on, so that when you hit the valley, you're ready to tear it up.
No doubt.
It doesn't give you much of a break. You go out to LA, you get to play USC in a neutral site, right? And and then you get to play at Long Beach State, so you got another road game there, and then eventually you make your way down to Orlando in the tournament down there. And look, here's what I want to see. You guys will be on the Disney property. I want to see all the bigs, every guy who's 6'9" and above, including the 7'1", sitting on a roller coaster. I want to see how that looks. Like you guys would be just like,
packed in there like sardines or something. I don't know.
I want to see how it works, man.
I'm wondering if there's a height limit on some of those. I don't know
Space
if Coach
Mountain.
will let us go on.
Space
What
Mountain,
is it?
6'7".
Oh yeah. I remember going on that when I was younger, and my dad is like right there, 6'7", and his head was just barely missing. I was scared for him. So that's
Pemberton, you
have to
never
stay away
been
from
on?
some of those, but maybe one of them. Coach will let us get on.
I snuck on my honeymoon, but I had to ride it leaning way forward.
Ooh, yeah.
It was down like this riding it. So.
All the kids are wearing shoes that make them like an inch or two taller, and you guys are ducking in to get shorter.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then you get to end the non-conference. You go to the Jazz arena, and you get to play Utah State out there. So that's a great way to wrap it up and get ready for the MVC.
Yeah, again, all high caliber teams, and I think again playing in big arenas like that, I think is just going to do nothing but help us. Valley play is what we value most. We want to. Our goal is to get that regular season championship and that tournament championship. So all these tests are just going to help us, in the long run. So
yeah. So this is your third year under coach, right? And talk about like how you've seen like the culture evolved and the expectations evolved and how the schedule's now evolved, right? From perhaps like the first year you were here.
Yeah, I think like I said. The feeling in this community is that this is one of the most anticipated years that we've had in a while. I could argue even last year there was some pretty major hype going into that year with the guys we had and the improvements, some of the leaps that some of those guys made, some of our guys. I do think that the scheduling thing showing this year that we're ready for some of those big time opponents is indicative of where we're at as a program. I know Coach P came in and he had this goal coming in to build a championship program. And I don't think you get there by not seeing some of these tough teams. You know, we got to get a good resume together to show people on the national stage, you know, kind of what the Redbirds are about. And I do think, you know, like you said, every year it seems like we're getting a few more of those games that are really going to put us on the map. You know, this year is like, I'm thrilled with the way the schedule came together. It was my understanding that a lot of these teams that coach reached out to, they didn't want to play us. They were a little nervous. They were, I mean, I don't blame them. We ended the year on a high note. We've got all this talent coming back. We've got me and Bowden coming back from injury. Got these freshmen, talented freshmen coming in, transfer with Landon. Like, you know, I don't know. If I was a high major team, I wouldn't want to see us either. So I know he had to work for those games, but where we're at as a program, I think is exactly on track with what Coach Peter wanted to build here. So,
all right, Brandon. Right, we were just talking off air, keeping 10 of 11 guys because 4 seniors graduate, 4 freshmen come in, plus Landon Moore, right? And so, talk about, you know, you said off air how excited you were about this core group of guys. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like we were talking about, I think the way we were able to keep our core group of guys together from last year, especially with the success we had individual and team, I think is like says so much about our program and just the personnel, the high character guys that we have here. Speaking from experience, you don't find this a lot in college programs. Not only the retaining of guys, but the way that everyone on the team gets along and everyone like really wants to see another person succeed. You know, I just don't think you find that very often nowadays. And I think that's going to be a big driver of our success this year is how much guys aren't into their own, you know, caught up in their own stats or, you know, how am I doing? How many points did I have? It's a common goal of winning. And we know that with team success comes individual success, or, you know, whether you want to talk about me, Bowden, the 2 Landons, we want to play professionally. The best way to get our name on the map professionally to, you know, get some teams looking at us is to do well as a team. And whatever that looks like is us winning, going into March Madness, showing people that, you know, we're a good team and how individually talented we all are, but the way we can come together. But I just think, especially these freshmen coming in, they've really put their head down and worked and grown accustomed to, you know, the culture that, you know, Coach and some of the older guys that have been here, me, Ty, Johnny, Chase, that have all been here together for 3 years now. Like from where we were when we came in to where it is now, I think these new guys coming in are just, you know, we're all pulling the same rope right away. There was never any butting heads or anything like that. And again, I just think that's underappreciated in today's day and age with, you know, the way college basketball looks and the entire landscape. So that's one thing that I'm grateful for, to be with such a great group of guys every day. I enjoy going to practice. I enjoy being around them. We hang out off the court all the time. And I know that's also something you get to the professional level. You might not see that, you know, guys have families, guys are, you know, they're not worried about, you know, kicking it as a team and going out to eat. So that's just some stuff that I'm trying to really not take for granted in my last year, but I'm just so grateful for the teammates that I have.
So I'm sure it's seemed like it's flown by your college career when you're entering the last year. But what are you talking to the freshmen about? You said, you know, everyone's pulling on the same rope, which is nice. But any good messages for them now that you're the wise man?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm the joke. They call me the, you know, grandpa or uncle on the team, just the guy that's been around. Me and Bowden both. So for some reason, I get the jokes more. Maybe I give off some of that paternal energy a little more. I don't know, but they are no. The freshmen are great. Especially working closely with Nick Allen. You know, obviously being the same position. Like that kid is just, he was absorbing everything that me and Chase are trying to work with him on. You know, we're in our breakdown drills and just giving him little pointers, and he's a quick learner. He's talented. I'm really excited for his future. the rest of these freshmen, Tyreek, Mason, Isaac, they're all just great kids from great families. No one, you see that a lot with freshmen that are, they're the star players. Mason Clabo was the all-time leading scorer in the entire state of North Dakota, and he came in here as one of the most humble guys I've ever seen. And I don't think that's easy. Any high school, you're the best guy on your high school team, and then you got to come in and you're at probably the bottom of the totem pole as a freshman in the summer. You haven't even really done anything on campus yet. Like, that's a tough adjustment, and they've just handled it with a lot of grace, I think. And, especially just talking with them about some of my experiences, like, they love hearing about, my days at Illinois and the teams that I was on and cool players that I've played with and played against. And you could just see how excited they are to play. It's like, it's funny. I see myself in them when I look back. I'm like, I was a freshman. I came in. I was just so excited to be a part of college basketball. I've been dreaming of that since I was, 5, 6 years old. And now to have been in college for my whole career, approaching my last year, seeing them come in, being able to do a little bit of give and take with them, I think has been enjoyable for me. And I know it's helpful for them. So it's been a pleasure getting to know them.
Your first year here, the offense, it struggled a little bit. It was inconsistent. And last year, it really kind of changed and stuff like that. And I don't like to imagine what it's going to be like this year. Just talk about like that transformation offensively. Those years.
But remember, no trade secrets. Even though Steve wants trade secrets, no trade secrets. Right?
No, I'm not giving away the recipes. Don't worry.
Thank you. Yeah, keep the cookies rooted behind the wall.
You're not wrong. I think the adjustment and the change that our offense has gone through, where we had the length and we had the athleticism our first year to be a good defensive team, but on the other end we were just struggling to find the right shots. That was a big part of what we tuned up, was shot selection, taking the right shots. Let's look at what's working for us. Let's not go to stuff that, it's in our playbook, we should run it. We're going to go to what works. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to play off of that. We got guys that share the ball. I think we had the most assists in school history last year, or the highest, assist to turnover ratio. I mean, don't quote me on that, but I know we were somewhere up there in terms of those stats. And the way that our offense, it just felt more free. I feel like my first year, guys were getting stuck with the ball, and all of a sudden there's 4 on the shot clock, and we can't find anything. Whereas last year, we're getting that thing down, and we know what we want to go to. We either want to get it inside, or we want to run this action. We want to bring a shooter off a little pin down. We want to run that high ball screen. And it was just, we had so much more confidence in what we knew we were doing, where the ball needed to go. Guys crashing the offensive glass. So I think it's obviously a big testament to coach and the whole staff of the way we adjusted that. But I do think our players bought into this new system. It's not easy to kind of just flip everything. It's not like we changed the entire offense up, but it also wasn't just like a minor tweak. It was some stuff that, we really switched up.
So Brandon, what I noticed, first and foremost, you kind of mentioned this, was like the turnovers really cut down, especially like maybe like the game 4 or 5 last year. And I thought that was the first thing. And then just people moving, like it felt like you guys were like connected a lot more than you were in that first year. And then I thought, we brought in some really good shooters, which really opened up, the offense. And then, what I kind of noticed, like, and I said this at the Dalton, the last 6 or 8 games, the confidence all of a sudden was there too. And then when you put those 4 things together, man, they got pretty. They got really pretty. Yeah, no doubt. I think, to what you said, the confidence of the guys 1 through 5 that were out there, I think was kind of a two-way street. It was a result of the new offense and the positions that guys were getting put into, but also the way we worked and the way we adjusted to that offense in the preseason going in gave us that confidence to go out there and make the right plays, not be, maybe hesitant with the ball and not know where to go with it. We were decisive.
we were sharing the ball at a high rate, finding the right shots. And I think that just bled over into a lot of different areas of our game. And I mean, yeah, again, to coach's credit and the whole staff, being able to implement something like that and kind of switch up from where we were, I think is just really impressive.
Well, you weren't predictable, right? So, I mean, you could sit there and say, hey, we're just going to slam the ball down to Chase and he's going to pound it. Well, that's one option. But what was happening was, Chase was doing really well, right? But then Johnny would do well. Oh, Malachi had a couple of games. And it was rotating through. You could see it.
Yep.
And I mean, how do you, when there's 5 people on the floor, there are all viable option, it makes a big difference.
You're absolutely right. Being a defense guarding us, I mean, you got to honor so much. You got to honor, we got 3 shooters on the perimeter. We got a big inside who can score. We got a point guard that's a ball handler, playmaker. You got to pick, I mean, it's like you got to pick your poison there. And I think the way we're able to exploit other teams with our system and the way we ran things, it worked out well. And again, you see it reflected in the numbers. Our turnover numbers were down, assist numbers up, scoring was up. And again, the confidence the whole team had was just night and day from the year before.
So now that we got all these high expectations, are you making sure the freshmen know the fight song? We don't want them lip syncing it at the beginning, okay?
We do this little, it's called the Walk of Champions, where the new athletes come in and we do a little initial ceremony. It's all athletes, all sports. We all huddle, we all gather in the arena. They bring the whole band in and they teach them the fight song. I was sitting right next to the freshmen and I'm trying to get them to get that melody down because it's a little tough at first. They got the words up on the screen, but they're a little off. They're saying, they're on the last verse and we already moved on. So I was working with them a little bit. They're going to get it. I mean, all it takes is a few of those wins and we'll be at half court and they'll pick it up pretty quick. So I'm not worried.
Yeah. But you can tell, Brandon, when the people are like, they're doing the extra dancing and they don't have the words yet.
It's like you don't know what to do. So you're just doing something. They'll pick it up. We'll stay on them with it. Don't worry.
All right, so Brandon, we got to ask you about the big news, the big announcement today. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Did you see this?
I saw it.
This is Bird Fans Forever.
I know, but we're going to ask
This isn't the New Heights podcast.
We just need one Swiftie to pick this up. And
I'm
I don't even know. I'm a football fan. I don't love the Chiefs. I'm a Bears fan. I'm a diehard Bears fan. So
diehard Bears fan.
I could care less about Travis Kelce, to be honest, but it's good for the sport. We're bringing in some pop fans that are getting the football ratings up, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I saw they did some Instagram posts and they had some 12 million likes within like an hour. Like, it's crazy number. So, I mean, good for them.
My daughter sent it to me and I was just like,
I don't even. I have no words. I'm happy for them. I hope.
Yeah.
So you're a big Bears fan. You got some Packer fans on your team too. So how's that?
Now there's only, I think one. I think it's just Johnny. Last year we had Dalton was a Packers fan. Jordan Davis is really an Eagles fan. We got teams from all over. Ty Pence is an Eagles fan. There was some Bears slander last year because it was me and Landon Wolf were the only Bears fans on the team. My first year was even worse. I think I was the only Bears fan.
And we've sucked for so long.
Yeah, but this year's different.
I've
heard that a lot, but at the same time, I'm excited where we're at. I like this new coach. I mean, he's legit. The only stat I care about, what's the Packers record in 2025 and what's the Bears record? 1-0 and 0-1. I'll answer that. Bears are undefeated against the Packers in the year of 2025, so let's just stick with that.
All right, Brandon, we call this closing. Floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed talking to you guys. I keep coming back to how excited I am for this year. I don't, in all of my years playing college basketball, I don't think I've had a feeling like this on a team of guys like this. And that's saying a lot. I've played with some good players, had some success on teams too, but the feeling that we have every day, I think when we're going into that gym, is like, I mean, you can't even explain it. I just love being around them. There's energy every day. Everyone's pulling again in the same direction. I think we're growing every day as a team too. We're not a finished product yet. There's going to be bumps in the season, as there always is, but I'm confident that we have the group to respond and play to. We have high expectations for ourselves. I know the community and fans have a high expectation, but nothing that we're not putting on ourselves. And I'm just so pumped to see that arena get filled up to what it should be and what it should have been for past few years. So again, I'm just thrilled. Stuff like this, I just think is great, being able to share my experiences with others and give them a little insight to what goes on in our program each day. Just know that we're working hard. We got the work ethics on this team are unmatched, and we're going to be putting our best foot forward every single day. We're going to keep getting better. And, we're looking to October 19th, game 1, unofficial game 1, but it's the start of our journey for this year, and I'm fired up. So appreciate you guys.
This is awesome. All right. Thanks, Brandon, for being on. So this is Bird Fans Forever, episode 75 with Brandon Lieb. Thank you, Brandon. John, hit it.